Hello everyone, hi, this is Daniela from Perth, Western Australia, and this is episode 10 of my knitting podcast. The title is A Knitter's Suitcase because I've moved to Australia a year ago. It was on the 3rd of October, only a few days ago. It was 1 year exact. One fabulous year, I must say. And when I moved over, I took all my treasures, all my knitting, all my project bags, all my knitting plans with me. And if I travel for a few days, I do the same. So my suitcase is always stuffed with with wool and with knitting plans. I could choose no different name, basically. You find me as A Knitter's Suitcase on Instagram as well. And you find me on Ravelry as DanyUK. I've got an email address for this podcast, which is aknittersuitcase@gmail.com. And I also have a little shop of handmade by me knitting project bags on the platform Etsy, and that is called A Knitter's Suitcase as well. Welcome. Take a chair, take your project bag, take a drink, take a few minutes for yourself, maybe more than a few minutes, and let's have a chat about my knitting in the usual format. So what I'm wearing, what I've finished, what I'm knitting on, and many plans. Always too many plans. I can't, forget to thank all the people who keep watching me, have been with me all along since episode 1, and all the new ones that have met me recently and have decided to subscribe or are just popping here just by chance. I hope you stay. I hope you like this space, and you find some joy here. Okay, I haven't got an awful lot of time once again, as it is school holiday at the minute. I've been out and about with my children all day, and I'll have to leave for swimming classes in about an hour, but I'll try and tell you everything that I've got in mind in this time we've got. First, what I'm wearing. What am I wearing? This is my only finished object for this episode, and it's a finished object I absolutely adore, and it is my mini mock neck tank by Jessi Mae Design. It's a popular pattern. A lot of people have knitted it and keep talking about it on social medias. And there is a reason for it, because it's a very simple garment, just a sleeveless top with a mini mock neck that I have omitted, as you can see, but it fits like a dream. And it's such a quick knit because it's sleeveless. In the original version is cropped. Mine is not so cropped, as I'm not fully comfortable with showing my belly. And it flies off your needles, and if you choose an interesting and fun yarn, as I think I've done, it becomes quite a bit of a little statement piece, if I may say so. So what have I done with my mini mock neck tank? It's knitted in fingering weight yarn, and I have decided to use this single skein I had dyed here in Perth by Michelle of the DanyUK Knit indie dye brand, and this colorway, it's called Oh So Pink, and boy, if it is pink, it is really pink. And it's so fun. It's a tonal, but you can see quite a bit of color variation in it, and it was very intriguing to knit. It was giving me lots of happy vibes, and I really like how it turned out at the end. I wasn't sure I'd manage to finish it, with one skein of yarn, because I should have been able to, according to the pattern, but the pattern prescribed it to be really cropped, while I wanted to make it longer. So it was a little bit of a yarn chicken game, but well, apparently I won. I will add a little recording to show, how it actually fits, and how the back looks and everything. But I'm happy with it. It is a cropped garment, but it's a kind of cropped that I'm comfortable wearing, with high-waisted pants, I like big, long patterned skirts and colorful patterned skirts, and this really works well with them. And what I did was carry on knitting, because the sleeve, the armholes band here gets knitted while you go, while the neck ribbing is to be added at the end. So what I did, I carried on knitting top down as prescribed, until literally I eyeballed it, and I said, okay, I think this nugget is enough to do the bottom ribbing and the neck ribbing. I knew I didn't want a proper mini, mock neck. I wanted more a crew neck. And so basically I carried on knitting until I had 12 grams of yarn left. I'm talking about size S, which is 81.5 centimeters. That should give you 10 centimeters negative ease, and that's what does with me. So I carried on knitting until I had 12 grams, and I managed to make the bottom ribbing and the neck band with 10 grams, and I'm left with literally like a little nugget of 2 grams of yarn. So I was super satisfied when I got to the end, honestly. And why didn't I do the mini mock neck? Because, it's hot here. It was very wintry until probably 1 week ago, and today it's 27 degrees and it's hot. I can't bear having, a neck, mock neck up my neck. And if I make another one, which is something that may happen because I like it very much, I will do the same. I'm not adding, extra ribbing at the neck, but it's fab. It is an interesting pattern. It's size inclusive, and what I understand is that even people who are sort of wider in the bust with bigger measurements are finding the fit of this garment absolutely fantastic. So what there is not to be liked about it, really, there's nothing not to be liked. And I'm particularly pleased with myself also because if you watched my previous episode, this is one of my summer dream knits. So I have really, been on task. I've really worked on my wish list, and I have been able to tick a first finished garment. If you've watched my previous episode, you'll remember I had prepared this summer dream knits page with 3 ideas I've got in mind, and I've managed to tick the first off, which is great. If you're new here, what is this? This bunch of mismatched pages and all sorts of notes and memorabilia stuck inside. This is my knitting journal. And just briefly, how do I go about my knitting journal? I seek no perfection. I seek no, artistic perfection again. What I do, I write down the important things about the project. I add ball bands. I add notes that maybe also notes about what's happened in my life while I was knitting it, or what sort of thoughts came to me while I was knitting it. And I add stickers, and I just make it fun for me. On other pages, there are my, lists of things to do, and because this is also my life diary. And but I love it. I think I will love looking back into it and reading from it in the future very much as well. So for this project, I did this page, just a very simple little page, highlighting, an important detail of the top, which is its size inclusivity, the dates I started and finished it. I took 10 days since from cast on to bind off. It's got lots of stars because I really enjoyed it. And I've written here with some little stars, mesmerising, because that's how I felt. I felt about the yarn and the colorway while I was knitting it. I really felt like I was mesmerized. I couldn't take my eyes off of these beautiful, bright and exciting colors. So well done, Michelle, for dyeing it. A big heart here because it's a one skein project, so it's something very good to make, to use that, odd skein you've got there that is not quite finding its destiny easily. So first project ticked off. As we are talking about the knitting journal, another page I wanted to show you is just the next one to my mini mock neck tank, and it's this page that I've called all the cals, all the knit alongs. Because I find that when I'm listening to podcasts or watching podcasts or, looking on Instagram, I sometimes find ideas of knit-alongs that I find really interesting and I thought may fit my sort of projects for the future. So what I have decided to do was making a list of the knit-alongs that are currently ongoing and that I am definitely gonna join, or I have maybe already joined. So the first work in progress that I'm gonna show you is just next to me, styled here but by my friend Margherita, the mannequin. So this is the EXP sweater by Susanna Kaartinen of Sanna&co. It is a top-down jumper. If you watch previous episodes, you already know quite a bit about it. It's knitted in shaker stitch, or I think it's the equivalent of the half fisherman rib, but don't quote me on that. I haven't double checked. And it's quite an interesting garment with a very different sort of use of your raglan construction. Because what you normally do when you knit a raglan jumper, you have 4 lines at the starting from the neckline that where you do your increases, and those allow the body and the sleeves to grow until you get to the right circumference to create the body of your jumper and the circumference of your sleeves. What has happened with this one actually is that Susanna has decided to establish a very, very, very big raglan band, 4 very, very big raglan bands that are actually starting from the neck. I'll try and tilt and see if you can see it. Oh, it's quite easy to see like that. So you knit first the neckline, which is let's say funnel neck, maybe. It's double, knitted double, so you knit the inside first with only one color, and then you start with a contrasting color, and then you pick the stitches. Well, basically you knit together the two ends of this band of fabric you have just created, and then you establish some, with your stitch markers, some strategic points in the circumference of the neck, and you create these massive raglan bands, and then with a very clever game of increases, you create your body and your sleeves. And I'm not far from splitting and joining the front and back in the round, and then after that I hope it'll be quite quick. So you will have seen that I've spoken of Susanna Kaartinen a lot before, since I've discovered her while test knitting her Claire in Paris show, and this one caught my eye, very early on when looking at her patterns, because I find it's really, really, really interesting and beautiful. And then my friends Nicole and Gayan at Purlfect Pairings, please go and watch their podcast, announced a knit along. That's why I go back to my knit along page for any of Susanna's jumper sweater patterns. That's called Sanna Sweater Cal, and that's held in collaboration with Susanna and with Karina of the Louis and Lola indie dyer business. Fantastic yarn there, so please go and have a look at that too. And the Cal is actually running already. It started in August and it will run until the end of November. So I was distracted a little bit in the beginning when the Cal started. I had some gauge issues because the idea is that you should gauge swatch and then block your swatch quite aggressively to achieve the gauge, which is 17 stitches per, sorry, just checking my 17 stitches per 42 rounds. I did that and I thought I was on track. Then I just left the swatch in a corner while I was finishing other things, and my gauge shrank, so I wasn't happy with the gauge anymore. And then I decided to go up a needle size from 3.5 to 4 millimeter needles. The gauge swatch these times looks okay, and so I have finally cast on. I won't hide that I was a little bit worried about the many hours of knitting time that I expected to have to face, because shaker stitch or any of the fisherman rib or brioche family sort of stitch patterns require kind of twice as much knitting as you'd normally do. So I was a little bit sort of worried, but after casting it on, I must say I'm no more, because it's such a pleasant, entertaining, and joyful knit. It's I find it very, very mindful and very, very pleasant. I think most of it is due to the fact that you are working with two contrasting yarns. So another of the characteristics of this jumper is that you are supposed to use a non-superwash yarn for the base, for the main color, and a superwash yarn or any fingering weight yarn for the contrasting colors. One of the versions that are illustrated in the pattern also gives you direction to fade the contrasting color. I'm so sorry because I see the light now is playing strange games on my face. Unfortunately, it often does in this setting, but I haven't got time to sort out a different setting, so please bear with me. Probably from next time I'll try and change my recording spot. So yes, you could do it with a fade. I haven't done it with a fade. I've just decided to go with two beautiful yarns that I had meant, particularly one of them I had meant to try for some time. So my choice is Tandy Homestead Garden Range colorway Mallard, which is a 100% porous wool. It's a yarn that was not familiar to me, as I think I'm saying something correct by saying it's an Australian variety of yarn, of wool, and it's quite special. I'm actually already thinking what I could use it for, you know, other projects, other colors, because, well, this ball, what happened to me was, as you've heard earlier, I undid the band on the previous one and I left it there before starting to knit for quite some time. And after a little bit, the size of this skein, it was really like a football, round and absolutely ginormous, this size, but completely round. That's because this yarn is so lofty, so, I don't know how to describe it actually, I'm lost for words. It's so soft, so lofty. Somebody has also used for porous the adjective moist, which is a weird one really, but I find quite appropriate, because when you know, dig your hands in it, it feels a little bit like butter. It feels like it has got some, the fiber has got some moisture in it that it doesn't, of course. So honestly, super soft, super lofty, super pleasant to knit. You must try it. And Tandy is it's a great business to get to know as well. There's an episode of my friends at Purlfect Pairings podcast as well that I recommend you watch, because it tells, they interview the farmer, they tell you how they go from really growing the sheep to producing this great wool. So that's a suggestion of another podcast for you. And I decided to go with these Cyrax, that's the name of the colorway, on the base plateau, superwash merino, silk and yak. Yeah. 60-20-20 by Collar Girl Collective, from an indie dyer from Adelaide. And I really like the fact that this yellow is, let's see if you can see it properly, is quite heathery due to the yak content of the yarn. So that's I think that makes the two colorways play really well together. Again, the light doesn't do it justice now, but I'll share more, and I've already shared some photographs and close-ups on my Instagram account, and you can really appreciate how beautifully these two yarns get, you know, to play together. So yeah, I have started this jumper on the 19th of September. The CAL goes on until the 30th of November. And I must say, I was about here until I hopped on our car this weekend for a little bit of a trip on the road, discovering Indian Ocean coast of Western Australia. And thanks to my husband, who's a sweetheart and drives all the time, I could knit quite a bit of it. There we go, with great satisfaction. And now I am kind of ready to split. I think I've got another probably 10 rounds, and then I'll be able to split for the sleeves. But I want to try it on first, because I want to see how it fits before I go on knitting longer and then splitting. And I've got a page, of course, on my journal for it. Again, I've got the ball bands, I've got a little note about the road trip that we did together with my family at the weekend. I've got my cast on and bind off dates there. Well, the bind off is not there yet. And I've got the knit along details on the side. But with regard to this knit along, I don't want to forget to mention that there are quite a few exciting prizes for the people who are participating. Sorry, I was talking prizes and then I had to have a break because the light was really impossible. It was bothering me as much as it may be bothering you. And yes, so there are exceptional prizes. There's a massive, beautiful voucher by Louis and Lola to have some to get some yarn from their website. There's a prize from Stitch Craft and Wizardry. There's also a bag from me. You can go, if you win my prize, you can go in my shop and choose one of the bags that are there, and I'll make sure that gets to you quick and easy. So there are a lot of, and other things now at the top of my mind, I can't remember everything, but there is still time. There are more than one jumpers, as I mentioned in the beginning. So there are different projects that you can decide to knit, and they're all beautiful. They are knitted with different weight yarns, with different levels of sort of difficulty, and and there is also a Facebook group. A very interesting initiative is that there is a Facebook group going for the participants where they can interact directly with Susanna, the designer, and of course sort of get any questions, any suggestions, any doubt discussed and sorted with her. And you can talk about your yarn choices and interact with Karina of Louis and Lola and show everybody how her beautiful yarns are knitting up. So, I mean, so much to enjoy about this knit along. And I'm unfortunately now I have to slow down because I'm at home. I've got a lot of things going on, work, the children, and I need to be sewing more bags because the shop is not very well stocked at the minute, and I won't be able to knit as much as I've done at the weekend on this project, but I'm not abandoning it at all. I've just realized that this is going to be an episode with a theme or a couple of themes. One is the designer, because I've got another whip by Susanna Kaartinen, and one is the color, because guess what? This jumper is also green. So this other work in progress I'm gonna show you now is actually a test knit for Susanna. I basically volunteered to test knit this jumper the minute she showed a photograph on Instagram, when she was still sort of sorting out the instructions, and this was definitely, I think, end of June, beginning of July probably. because it's got a lot of interesting features for me. Well, first of all, it's beautiful, which of course is, the bottom line, but it is a color work. And I have knitted color work before, stranded color work, but only accessories. I've test knitted a cowl quite some time ago, and I was really pleased with it, with the process. I enjoyed the process, and I enjoyed how the cowl turned out. And then I've done some mittens that were a proper disaster, if I may say so. Really bad tension. I think the main problem with me is that I find color work in small circumferences much more challenging in terms of keeping the tension even than in bigger circumferences. And actually, I'm enjoying this one, and I'm quite happy with the result. And then another element that I was really drawn to is the yarn that she uses for this jumper, which is the very famous Let Lopi. So Icelandic yarn that I got delivered to me all the way from Finland, a very nice shop with excellent customer care called TTT. I'll link it in the description box, because I'm sure I should have asked my friend Susan, who is 1001 Stitches on Instagram. I suggest you go and have a look at her beautiful knitting. She's from Finland, and I should have asked her how to pronounce the name of this shop. I forgot. Anyway, I got it delivered, and these are the colors I used. Now, the jumper is a top-down jumper with a very beautiful color work yoke, and quite a deep yoke, because the color work carries on definitely below the bust, so it's a very big band of color work all around. And as you can see, I'm here, I've started. I cast on, I think, on the 22nd of September. I think the test was announced on the 20th, so I was ready for it. And I have been going on quite happily, though I find, I don't know why, tell me if it's the same for you, that when I look at my knitting like that, I can't really appreciate how the pattern, the geometric color work pattern is going on. I can't really appreciate whether I'm doing it well, whether it's looking good, while when I look at it on a photograph, or here now on the podcast through my camera and on my camera, I'm ever so pleased with it, and I really enjoy the work I've done so far. So I don't know, maybe that happens to everybody, and I hadn't had a chance to hear anybody saying it just yet. I don't know. Anyway, it's lovely, lovely, lovely. I am knitting a size 3, which will give a jumper with 10 centimeters positive ease to my chest size, and the name of this jumper has sent me and my friend Susan, that I mentioned before, on a little bit of a guessing game, because we were wondering what the meaning of this name is. I asked her because she is Finnish and I thought she may know, but actually we ended up asking Susanna, and we discovered that this is a word, anaras, not sure that's the pronunciation, anaras sweater, that is a word from the language of her own people, who are the Inari Sa Inari Sami people, a little ethnic group which dates back centuries in Finland. And Susanna has done a lot of research and has joined some workshops and classes, I think, to try and, discover more of the identity of her people and learn their crafts and learn their textiles and their knitting traditions. And she has released over the last probably year quite a few patterns that are inspired by the traditional Sami sort of aesthetic and craftsmanship. And this jumper is one of them. So we sort of expected it to be a name that was related to her heritage. And she has explained to us that Anaras is actually how the Inari Sami people call themselves in their native language, which is Anaraskiela. Okay, I have done a little bit of damage to these ancient and very, ancient language, and I'm full of respect and I'm full of appreciation for the work that Susanna's doing to maintain her heritage and her tradition. So sorry, but when I discovered all of these, I really felt like a little bit touched. I felt like I was, touching on something which is really precious because it's part of a long-standing tradition and of something that she's really caring and making an effort to show and to give credit to in her work. So I was ever so pleased about this. And I'm carrying on knitting on it with a lot of excitement, and because I really want to see the finished object. Of course, you may say, Icelandic yarn in Australia, really? I know. It's gonna be really hot, but I hope I'll be able to wear it a little bit like a jacket, rather than a jacket, or maybe just in the house, because it's very warm in Australia, but the house has got most houses have got no heating. So in winter it can get really, really cold here. So I may wear it, in the house when I'm really freezing. And anyway, I'll travel to Europe at Christmas, so I'll have plenty of opportunities to wear it. And now that I look at it again, goodness me, I can't wait to knit more and see how the design, plays up in the rest of it. My choice of colors were color 9423, which is a teal, and it's got, as all Let Loppy yarns have, a little bit of variation in it, and sometimes it's got like little twigs or little pieces of, I don't know if you can see this, it's like a little piece of wheat or dried grass, I don't know, in it, which I find really, really fun. The first contrasting color is 0051, which is white. There you go. And then the second contrasting color, I've been thinking about it for a long time because I wasn't sure. I would have liked to take one of those photos that they say, take a photograph in black and white of the colors you want to see, and you'll realize if there is enough contrast or not. I couldn't do it because I had to order online. And so, well, I just went where my heart took me and got these very pretty aqua teal, light teal, I don't know, it's got again quite a lot of different specs in it. There's some yellow, there's some like electric blue, there's some white, some dark gray, a really nice color. The contrast is probably not very strong. It's rather a sort of, subtle contrast, but I really like it, and yeah, I'm not regretting my choice. So hopefully you'll see it finished soon. I've got time until the 19th of November, but I have got so much going on. Want to finish that one, need to finish this one. And in a minute, I'll talk to you about another project that I have decided to test knit. Goodness me. So it's a lot. The page I've created on my journal is this one. So we've got the ball band. We've got just some cuttings of a magazine. Something's fallen off my journal that I really liked and was somehow inspiring or reminding me of the style of this garment. And then I have added here, I stuck it on and then I realized I had put it upside down, so I peeled it off and I need to reattach it. The Inaris Army flag, and a few words about the meaning of this sweater's name, and then a very little sort of decoration right here, reproducing the graphic detail of the color work at the yoke. So these pages are definitely gonna grow with all the notes that I'll make while I knit. Another bit of info that I've added here is a knit along that I would like this jumper to enter, and that's the LBK Nordic Cal by Selma at Little Big Knits. If you don't watch her, go and have a look. She has been podcasting for quite a long time now. She's an amazing lady originally from Finland, lives in Canada. She speaks English and French, and I believe also Spanish, and she always makes beautiful things, very refined, very feminine things. And yeah, she has decided to start this knit along, which is meant to include all projects that are knitted with a Nordic yarn, dyed or produced in the Nordic countries, and all the projects that are designed by patterns that are designed by a Nordic designer. So I think, well, actually also the EXP would be sort of eligible because Susanna is originally from Finland. But this one is ticking both the boxes. So the yarn, Icelandic yarn, and a Finnish designer. So that will definitely be in the knit along. Very quickly, I have another little work in progress that I literally started today while I was at the park with my children, because both these projects I've got on the go are quite bulky at this point and require quite a bit of attention, and I wanted something very quick and easy to carry around. So I just neglected all my plans, all my other plans that I talked about last week, and I started a sock. A little sock with this fun, colorful green again yarn, which is a self-striping dyed by Dani at Half Baked Hand Dyed. And I met her at Bendigo and I bought her yarn at Bendigo, and I really, really loved these colors. Not difficult to understand considering, the color scheme in this episode. And I just grabbed it. My plan was to choose one of those patterns where rather than doing simple stripes, you obtain a chevron-like sort of pattern, thanks to the increases, to some games of increases and decreases. Now, I don't know if I'll do that actually, because I have had a few patterns in mind and I have realized that most of them require a 64 count sock leg, or multiples. Another one I had found was a multiple of 8, I think. But I have got here 58 stitches because that's what I normally use for my socks. So shall I rip it off and take 2 stitches away? Shall I decrease? Will it be too tight? Shall I, no, I can't do 64 because it'll be falling, off my calf and ankle. So I still need to think what I'll do. But I really, really love this yarn. It's, I don't need to explain it very much to you because it's the purple, pink that I'm wearing, and it's all the greens that I've already shown you. So that is going to be my little project on the go at the minute, probably. And it is in what is probably one of my favorite project bags. It's got a lot of sort of aspirational and inspirational words on it. Stay strong, have fun, do your thing, you are amazing. I really like this kind of fabric. And I'll just take a little quick detour about my shop now, just because I've recently sewn quite a few bags on this theme that is with fabrics that are that show words of kindness, encouragement, and and joy and love. So I've got this one with little flags that say resilience, compassion, empathy, bravery, love, kindness. It's one of my favorites. I've got the "You Are Beautiful" bag. I've got this very sweet one which has got different a little bit of patchwork in the drawer casings, and it says again: seek joy, imagine, trust, choose light, dream, brave. A little bit of cheerleading for ourselves. Sometimes it's necessary, isn't it? And I've experienced for myself that knitting can sometimes play a very important, and any crafts really can play a very important role in some people's healing journeys, in moments when we just need to, have some introspection and go back to being good friends with ourselves. So I just wanted to use fabrics that would sort of tap into that aspect of our crafting. I've got this one as well that I've used before, fabric that supports people affected by cancer. In particular, I believe October is a month when we there is a big focus on breast cancer. So Louis and Lola has got a very important initiative with the Grocery Girls as well. If you want to go and check her in Instagram, you'll see. Just wanted to mention that. My project bags are all padded. They have got fun patterns in the inside, in the lining inside as well, because I really love to play with fabrics outside and inside too. They are quite sturdy and can stand up on their own, even because of the padding, and they are drawstring. Well, you've seen them before, so you know what they are. If you like any of them, please have a look at my Etsy shop, and I appreciate if you can maybe like and favorite the shop, because that will help it gain visibility. So thank you, and thanks a lot to some lovely people who have already got some of my bags and have spoken really well of them on their social media or on the reviews that they have done. A special shout needs to go today to Marina of the Strawberry Patch podcast. She's an indie dyer over in New Zealand, and she's got a podcast as well, as I just mentioned, and we have decided to do a swap. So I've sent her a couple of bags that she has shared on social media with a lot of, happy words. And I can't wait to get my hands on some of her yarn that she has sent over to me in the post. So any day now. And talking about post and happy mail coming in, I'm just touching on the last project of this episode, which is a project with which I've put myself in a real pickle, because it's a test knit again. So I've got a deadline for the end of November, but I couldn't resist. It is the Micol sweater by Vera Marcu, who is on Instagram as Vera Loves Knitting. I have sort of come across Vera at Bendigo. My friend Gaian was, when we bumped into her, was super excited to meet her because she had been a fan for some time. And they had a very happy and excited conversation that I was only there listening. I didn't sort of manage to have a real exchange with Vera. Then we have met on Instagram again, and she's been super nice with me about my knitting, about my podcast, and we have also started chatting because she speaks and writes very well in Italian. She's originally, if I'm not wrong, from Romania, and she has, being in Europe, sort of got somehow close to the Italian language, and she's been, studying and improving her fluency in Italian. So this has been the little click that has brought us together. And then I've started discovering her designs that are absolutely beautiful, very, very, even, how shall I say, they are interesting. They are not your simple stockinette jumpers and cardigans. She plays a lot with texture. She plays with cables a lot and with lace, and her jumpers are really, I think they're really flattering when when shown on. And since I've started getting to see more of her patterns, I keep my eyes peeled for any new release, any new design, because I really love them. When she posted about this jumper called Micol, this sweater, I couldn't not comment and say it's beautiful, well done, it's very classy, very elegant, beautiful shape, and it's got also this sideways construction that I'm really drawn to, though I haven't managed to try it yet. I had started the Circe sweater by Moonstruck Knit, Natasha Hornby, but it's at the moment it's in a corner because I haven't had time to work on it. So anyway, I was all enthusiastic about that jumper, and then she got back to me and said, this jumper is inspired by an Italian book, Il Giardino dei Finzi Contini, that I read and I loved, and the main character is called Micol. And why don't you test it for me? There is this special connection with in the Italian book, and you being Italian, and I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no because the jumper is beautiful. Vera is a sweetheart. And I caved in. So I'm just waiting for the yarn. I've gone for the yarn she has used, which is a beautiful, beautiful blend fingering weight by Ochre Yarns. I'll again post the picture here. It's a mulberry colorway, the one I've chosen. It's a blend with, if I'm not wrong, silk and yak again, I think. and I expect it to be dreamy soft, but it's 30 stitches in 10 centimeters, so it's tiny needles. I think, let me check, because I've already prepared a page on my journal, just to tell you how excited I am. Here it is, the Miko sweater. So I could cut out from a magazine some photographs of an Italian garden, and of course I've added all my little notes and things. And I'm knitting size 2, and the gauge is 30 stitches on 3.25 millimeters. That probably for me will end up being even smaller, because I tend to be a loose knitter. So this is gonna take quite a bit of knitting time, I'm afraid. But yeah, you know, that's again the thing, when you've got those personal connections, when you find your knitting not only brings you joyful time and some sort of meditative practice and also a beautiful finished garment, but it also brings to you the connection, the time, and the opportunity to get close to a person who's like-minded and who's got your sensibility. You feel, you know, sometimes you just feel it. There's something really in common with that person. I couldn't say no, and I said yes. I said yes. I think that's enough, isn't it? As I often say, I will have to stop maybe sleeping, or I don't know, I will have to dedicate every waking minute to my knitting to finish these projects in time. Not sure I'll manage, but I knit every stitch with happiness and with enthusiasm, and I think that's what counts. What are you knitting on? I know you're all getting ready for the Stephen West knit along, aren't you? That's tomorrow or today? No, it's today. Okay, so have fun. I'm waiting for some trepidation because I want to see how it looks. I've decided not to join in, and I think it's been a wise decision, because really I couldn't have. And I didn't quite enjoy the socks, and I didn't enjoy it last year, so maybe it's better for me to look how the shawl looks, and then make my decision. I may join in later on. Another thing I may want to join in, another Cal, is Nicole's Prof Pearl on Instagram and Professor Pearl on YouTube. Lovely Nicole, who is always such joyful company, and I'm really fond of her. She started again this year. She's done one last year and she's done one this year, a love note knit along, because she knitted 6, I think, or 7. She loves the pattern, and I've never knitted it, so, but this knit along goes on until the end of December. So I was thinking that once I'm off the hook with all my test knits, I may just get on with a nice, relaxing, love note to clean my needles during maybe the Christmas holidays. I don't know. Endless lists. Anyway, let me know how you're doing with your West knits. Show knit along. I look forward to seeing all your lovely pictures on Instagram. And please leave a little comment. And if you loved this content, do a thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up icon and subscribe if it's your first time here. I look forward to, hearing from you, and thanks so much for being here and for taking this time to, listen to me. Much love. Bye.